Welcome to datascience.show, the podcast where data science meets executive leadership. We talk with top AI and analytics thought leaders about turning data into real business impact. If you're a C-level leader or data expert shaping the future, you're in the right place.
Welcome to datascience.show, where data science meets leadership. I'm Mirko, and today we're doing a decision-first playbook on algorithmic pricing governance. 2 quick vignettes to set the stakes. First, a retailer deploys a dynamic discounting rule that looks sensible on paper, a small automated discount to clear slow-moving SKUs. Within weeks, the rule amplified itself across channels. Competitors reacted, promotions stacked, and gross margin collapsed faster than anyone anticipated. Finance calls, fingers point, and the model that promised more revenue delivered a margin hole. Second vignette. A travel company rolls out personalized offers. A segment of customers began receiving systematically higher prices. Complaints pile up, social media lights up, and regulators ask for explanations. The lesson? Pricing models can do enormous good, or quietly destroy margin and trust. That's not theory, it's executive exposure.
Here's my promise for the next 20 minutes. I'll give you a concrete, fundable, auditable playbook. By the end, you'll have a taxonomy to classify pricing lanes, a minimal evidence pack to demand from teams and vendors, monetary SLOs and exposure budgets you can brief the CFO on, a set of fairness and competition checks, procurement language to use now, and a 90-day pilot blueprint you can sign off on. This is not a technical how-to for engineers. This is executive guardrails, strategy before technology, clarity over complexity, from models to measurable value. Second, demand a minimum evidence pack before any pricing logic goes live. I mean a defined, auditable bundle you can require from product teams or vendors. Start with a simulation manifest, inputs, assumptions, and a reproducible script that shows simulated business outcomes over representative traffic. Ask for trigger logs, the events and rules that caused price changes, and provenance for each feature used in decisions, where the data came from, how it was validated, and who owns the upstream feed. Require pre-registered uplift tests, the hypothesis, expected lift, sample sizes, and an explicit rollback plan. Finally, insist on a remediation runway, a funded, time-boxed budget to fix failures and restore safe defaults. If a vendor or team can't produce these artifacts, treat that lane as higher risk by default. Third, money talks. Translate controls into monetary service-level objectives and exposure budgets. Define a price-exposure ratio for each lane, the expected dollars at risk per 1,000 transactions, and a realized margin delta threshold. How many basis points of margin hit triggers an emergency review? Build an error budget in dollars, a running allowance for model variance, and a funded remediation gate once the budget is breached. Practical example, cap daily exposure for an automated repricing lane to a fixed dollar amount tied to a percentage of daily gross margin. If realized margin delta exceeds that threshold for 3 consecutive days, an automatic containment is enacted. Throttle the model, freeze the cohort, or revert to safe defaults. These are the knobs finance understands. They make governance fundable and auditable. Fourth, fairness and competitive risk checks. Keep these simple and operational. Run lightweight disparity audits across protected attributes where applicable, and measure a fairness disparity score that flags systemic deviation beyond a predetermined tolerance. Add anti-collusion signals, sudden market price convergence, synchronized price jumps across partners as a red flag. When you detect signals, fall back to conservative defaults, uniform offers, temporarily disable personalization, or force manual pricing review. Importantly, involve counsel early. Antitrust and price discrimination rules vary by jurisdiction. Use automated checks to detect anomalies, but have a human-in-the-loop threshold where legal or ethics teams must sign off. Fifth, procurement and contract snippets. You're buying capability and control, not just code. Require attestation clauses where vendors certify the provenance of training and feature data, and escrow simulation snapshots so you can replay decisions in the future.
Ask for an evaluation harness, a verifiable test harness that can reproduce pricing decisions on demand, and include indemnities tied to material margin loss caused by algorithmic errors. Add adaptive pricing clauses, limits on exposure, clear escalation paths, and rights to pause or revert automated changes without penalty when thresholds are breached. These may feel aggressive, but they create leverage and ensure accountability when commercial outcomes are at risk. Sixth, operational runbook and escalation. Governance is not just contracts, it's a detection-to-decision timeline. Define detection windows, containment ladders, and decision owners. Detection might be automated alerts for margin delta or customer complaint spikes. Containment ladders run from soft controls, throttle aggressiveness, isolate cohorts, to hard controls, cohort freeze, emergency rollback, or system shutdown. Predefine who authorizes each step. Product for throttles, CFO for funded remediation above a dollar gate, and the CEO or board designee for systemic failures. Document communication templates, internal briefing notes for leadership, customer-facing explanations, and regulatory notifications. Time is money. The runbook reduces delay and avoids ad hoc responses that amplify damage. Seventh, the 30-90-day pilot blueprint. Don't try to govern every lane at once. Pick one high-value, medium-risk lane, for example, promotion orchestration for a product category, and run a simulation to canary protocol. Step 1. Produce the evidence pack and run end-to-end simulations against historical traffic. Step 2. Run an uplift holdout experiment in production with a defined sample and measurement plan. Step 3. Canary the model in a narrow cohort with active monitoring of price exposure ratio, realized margin delta, and complaint volume. Require vendor attestation for the artifacts used. Engage legal for jurisdictional mapping. And brief the board at the 30 and 90-day marks with board-ready KPIs. If the pilot breaches exposure budgets or fairness tolerances, pause and remediate under pre-funded gates. Final, board-ready KPIs and 3 immediate executive moves. Your KPI dashboard for pricing governance should include price exposure ratio by lane, realized margin delta week over week, fairness disparity score, uplift validation p-values, and time to remediation in hours. 3 moves you can make this week. 1. Classify your top 3 pricing lanes by leverage and sensitivity and assign owners. 2. Require an evidence pack and simulation manifest for any active pricing model within 30 days. 3. Approve a 30-90-day pilot with a funded remediation gate and legal engagement. These actions buy you time, reduce surprise, and make algorithmic pricing a funded capability rather than a fire drill. Before we close, governance is balance. Be conservative with exposure estimates and explicit about what you will fund. Adopt a graded ladder so operational speed isn't killed for low-risk lanes. And always remember, accountability, evidence, and funding are the levers that turn models into measurable value. If you want the templates I referenced, the evidence pack checklist, KPI dashboard, and a 30-90-day pilot brief, subscribe to the show and you'll find a link in the episode notes. That's the difference between models and value.
Thanks for listening to datascience.show. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with your network, and join us next time as we explore how data science drives smarter decisions and better business outcomes.